So what's going on, guys? My name is Mr. Dalek JD, and as you guys are all very well aware, a few days ago Treyarch gave us our very first teaser towards Black Ops 4 Zombies, which is very exciting. We've been waiting over 2 years now since that Revelations ending, and since this is the only thing that we've been given as context of what's coming next, of course it's taken a while for us to fully digest this poster and for us to really get our thoughts. But in this video, I'm going to go ahead and present to you a theory based upon the various cipher messages that we've had throughout Black Ops 3 as well as the Revelations ending, and try and link that in with this poster, as this is obviously trying to tell us something. And obviously, while the context of this poster at this time is very vague, it's going to become extremely relevant and obvious when the map comes out. But until then, all we have is to speculate, and this is going to be a very cool video. I'm very excited to dive into this, as I'm sure you guys are intrigued as well. Now, I delved into some of these topics in my video yesterday where we broke down the symbols on this poster, and if you missed that video, it'll be linked or as an interactive card on your screen now. But these symbols aren't necessarily important, it's more the text and the imagery. Now, the text on the bottom reads, "Mankind's reckoning will be its salvation," and the moment that we saw this poster and that text go online, we instantly made correlations to the word salvation and Revelations being in the DLC pack known as Salvation. Now, for the marketing material for the Salvation DLC pack, it had our 4 characters, which seem to be stood in a really interesting position, almost similar positions our characters stand on the mound during the end scene of the Revelations cutscene, all stood on a raised platform. There are dozens of people below them worshipping them, trying to physically touch them, but this time it's the zombies, and the wording in that DLC pack is "The Day of Reckoning is here." So we have "The Day of Reckoning is here," and in the poster it says "Mankind's reckoning will be its salvation." Now, in my opinion, the fact that all of these words tie in together so well, reckoning and salvation here, and those words being on that new poster as well, is definitely no coincidence. And what this poster is trying to depict could be a direct continuation from the ending of the Revelations cutscene, where our characters were sent back in time. The interesting thing to note as well within the poster text is the fact that it says "Mankind's reckoning." So it seems either what we did in Revelations affected all of mankind, or is a lot more people than just our 4 characters, which contributed towards the actual reckoning itself. I want to touch on the mankind's part specifically in a separate video, because we're going to continue staying on topic here with what happens during that end cutscene that we get taken to, and how can this play in with the poster image that we're seeing. Now, looking at the poster, it's clear to see that this is a person holding a mask out in front of their face to only slowly reveal part of it. We can see from the hands that this person isn't quite human anymore, and there is an element of zombie to him, as his skin is rotting away and he has several cuts and several rotting parts of his face, probably why he wears the mask in the first place. The question we need to ask ourselves is, when in time is this exact poster taking place? And following on the events from Revelations, the Great War ended during 1299. So between the year of 1292 and 1299, the Great War between humanity and the Apothicans raged on Earth. As we can assume, this was a mighty and bloody battle which lasted 7 whole years. Now, this Great War also ties into the Crusades, which was a series of religious wars between Christians and Muslims, which started primarily to secure control of holy sites considered sacred by both groups. Now, we know that the Crusades is an actual relevant thing in the zombie storyline, as during the Great War, there was a brave knight called Pablo Marinus, and he is incredibly important into how we can work out where this zombies map is going to take place, or at least where this poster is taking place, and work out who this guy is in the poster as well. I touched on this in yesterday's video, but the poster image is more than likely relating to a leper king called Baldwin IV of Jerusalem. He was the 6th king of Jerusalem and came to power in a critical point in the history of the Crusader states. Now, I did just say the Crusader states. Now, bear in mind also a moment ago, Pablo Marinus spoke about him fighting as a knight within the Crusades. Already we have our first link there. Now, a brief backstory of Baldwin IV. He was born in 1161. At a young age, he was diagnosed with a disease called leprosy. And when you first have leprosy, it starts by damaging the small nerves on the skin surface, resulting in a loss of sensation. His disease manifested itself at first as a lack of feeling in his right hand. But as he got older, his body became more disfigured and his condition deteriorated a lot. He completely lost the ability to use one of his hands, so he could only use one hand in battle with a sword. He also lost both his legs, so he couldn't physically walk, and eventually became blind in both eyes. But yet still, this man who was extremely young of age, he died at age 23, so during his teenage years was fighting in the Crusades as the king of Jerusalem, still managed to be victorious. But besides his disabilities, it was also his physical appearance that deteriorated as well. So much so to the point that he wore a mask to cover his face. But look at the mask that he wears and look at the mask in the poster. The two are so uncanny in resemblance that it heavily links, in my opinion, and makes perfect sense as to why the person is holding this specific mask, as well as you being able to see his disfigured body by his hands and his face. With the context of King Baldwin IV and the ideas of the Crusades and the Great War happening around the same time, let's get some context as to why we might see that in Black Ops 4. Well, in the original timeline on September 2nd, 1944, Pablo Marinus, a Mexican spy, is captured by Group 935 at Der Eisendrache. Pablo Marinus is the key to us working out the timeline of where our first Zombies map may be set according to this picture. And with everything we've known so far, King Baldwin IV during the Crusades, here's where our context ties in nicely. A note from Pablo himself. And this letter can be found as a scrap within Gorod Krovi. My name is Pablo. Or at least, I think it is. Or was. I don't know anymore. I've been locked away, held prisoner in this cell for many months by German scientists. They keep experimenting on me, pumping me full of some blue liquid. I think it is responsible for the repeated visions I have been having, which I swear look and feel real. In this vision, my name is Pablo Marinus, and I am a knight coming back from the Crusades. I fight in a great battle against strange demon-like creatures who are trying to devour the earth, and at one point, it appears I'm doomed, trapped in the tentacles of a great three-headed beast, when suddenly 4 knights decimate it with magical elemental staves, saving me from certain death. There are otherworldly creatures that fight on our side against the demons. The creepy thing is that the sigils on their tunics resemble the ones I noticed on stones here at the castle as I was being brought to my cell. I just hope I can eventually find a way to escape this. So if you need any context at this point, our 4 characters as premise were present with Pablo Marinus in the Great War, coming back from the Crusades, just like King Baldwin IV. They are literally all coexisting at the same point in time in the same place. The Crusades is a huge part of the overall Great War that happens between humanity and the Apothicons. And what was King Baldwin a part of? The Battle of Montgisard, also known as the Crusades. The artwork alone just looks so incredibly close to what the artwork of the premise characters look like on that scrap of paper, as well as the various artwork we see throughout Black Ops 3 Zombies, including Shadows of Evil and Revelations of that war taking place. Even the Wolf King was present during this battle, as he also left a message saying, "While I consider myself to be a brave king in battle, I will tell you, my son, that those 4 were the bravest warriors I've ever seen. I had the privilege to fight alongside them in the great battle many years ago, where we defeated the creatures from beyond and the Dead Eaters. They disappeared after we claimed victory, never to be heard again. The last thing they told me was to build my castle here in this very location before they disappeared." And even in the artwork of the Wolf King, you can see clear similarities in not only the location and setting, but also the outfits. It looks so incredibly matching that the resemblance at this point is uncanny. May I also add that May 9th, 2018 is the day that Treyarch gave us this Zombies poster, and in 1945 on May 9th, this is when Pablo starts writing visions of the Great War within his jail cell, where he sees himself as a knight coming back from the Crusades, and in his vision, he sees the 4 knights, which are the Primus characters, protecting him from certain death. From all of that previous lore taking place in the medieval/crusade times, this ties in almost perfectly with the poster image character we have here, and is a very plausible theory as to why this person could very well indeed be King Baldwin IV of Jerusalem. This incredible person that only lived to the age of 23 years old due to his severe disability, leprosy, which slowly but surely ate away at his body, physically disabling him in many different ways, from losing sensation in his arms, involving his right and left arm, to not being able to walk, to going blind, but still being able to fight in battle as the king of Jerusalem, and his enemies were simply too scared to fight against him at that point because they understood how powerful he could be. I've touched on his mask before, but technically his mask wasn't actually an existing thing, but was made more prevalent in a recent film directed by Ridley Scott in 2005 called Kingdom of Heaven. So watching this trailer footage from the film gives a much better depiction of what it was like back during the Crusades. And in this depiction, to battle with King Baldwin IV's leprosy, there is this mask depicted him wearing. If we roll with the idea that this is King Baldwin IV, then this takes place during the medieval era, just like the scraps from Gorod Krovi of Pablo and the Wolf King helped to back up, as during the Great War that we get sent to at the end of Revelations does indeed take place during a medieval age. Now, not only is there this person on the poster, but there are of course a abundance of different alchemical symbols. Now, everything on this poster is indeed relevant to the on-disc map for Black Ops 4. So if the idea of this being King Baldwin IV taking place in a medieval setting, then also we can get an idea of where this setting is going to take place based on these different alchemical symbols. And all of these alchemical symbols come from the medieval, Renaissance, early modern, and contemporary esoteric traditions. This narrows it down quite nicely to that not only is the person in the poster related to a medieval time era, but also these alchemical symbols as well. The Only the Cursed Survive poster back in 2015 showcased a major mechanic within the first map with a symbol, and this time we have multiple symbols. The idea of using alchemy during the medieval period is definitely not a far-fetched idea. Of course, with this being Treyarch Zombies, they can take literally anything and turn it into their own. We saw this in Shadows of Evil, the direct numerous references to H.P. Lovecraft. There's no reason why Treyarch can't do this with King Baldwin IV and the ideas, which link in so heavily with this poster that I'm more leaning to believing that is the case, as it does line up perfectly with where things were left off in Revelations. But with Treyarch's own spin on things, there could be another reason as to why King Baldwin IV is disfigured in the poster and looking sort of zombified. And this actually throws back to a great idea which wasn't expanded on too much within Black Ops 2 Zombies, but it's an idea of a society of survivors who ate the flesh of the undead called the Flesh. This was a concept which was introduced during the map Die Rise, and after the events of Richtofen's grand scheme on the moon, the Earth was sent into chaos and disarray, and due to the lack of resources available, a group of survivors called themselves the Flesh and decided that the only way to survive was to cannibalize the corpses of zombies. But what they did not know is that they would inherit infectious symptoms by doing so. And one member described themselves as, "We are the living and we are the dead. We are the flesh and the flesh is us. And the idea of inheriting infectious symptoms by doing so does correlate very, very nicely into King Baldwin IV right here. The idea of the flesh does tie in very nicely with the Victor's crew, who we definitely know we are going to see in some capacity during Black Ops 4, as currently in the storyline they are put on ice in a laboratory underneath Alcatraz, one of those members being Samuel Stuhlinger, who was also formerly a member of the Flesh, but left the group after its destruction, becoming the only person to escape alive. This act of cannibalism granted Stuhlinger the ability to hear voices within the ether. It was only due to the selective choice of Richtofen wanting to communicate with him, but contact with the infected flesh gave symptoms of the zombie virus. Alchemy is also going to play a huge role within Black Ops 4 Zombies, but what its exact role could be is unknown at this point in time, but quite clearly the alchemy is useful to this character, but only time will tell. But this has been a video overall looking at what truly happened at the end of Revelations, and how within one poster image we've already got ourselves a great idea of what we can expect within Black Ops 4 Zombies. King Baldwin IV fought alongside the Primus crew and Pablo Marinus in the Great War during the Crusades. Just makes perfect sense for Revelations to be that ending which actually continues and starts everything off within Black Ops 4. Let me know down below in the comment section, what do you think of all of this? There's so much coincidence and everything just ties in so well that this guy could very well be King Baldwin IV on this poster. If you want more Black Ops 4 zombie goodness, including a breakdown of all of these different symbols on this poster, then like I mentioned, make sure to check out the link down below in the description or the eye, and check out my previous 2 uploads on screen. And if you aren't already subscribed, make sure you click that subscribe button down there, as well as turn on notifications so you don't miss the latest Black Ops 4 information. It's going to be a fantastic week ahead. If you're vibing with what I was saying within this video, then definitely drop a thumbs up as well, as I'd really appreciate that, and I'll not take up any more of your time. Thank you for watching through to the end, guys. You've been awesome. I'll catch you on another one very, very soon.